Hello, this is the One Eyed Patriot, and I'm fired up because today was a great monumental day. It was Second Amendment Appreciation Day, February 8th at the South Carolina State Capitol from 10 o'clock until 12, and several good speakers were there. In addition, I got to hook up with some YouTube channel people. One of them I'd already met before, but two others I also got to meet, and I've conversed with them before. One of them is Ron K. Pause 1. One of them is Red Mule 02. And one of them is HKPS G 1 Shooter. HKPS G 1 Shooter. And I'll put those links below or as we talk. And but anyway, so stay tuned for some footage. I'll attempt to put all this together.
Red Mule 02.
That's right. One Eyed Patriot.
Of our rights.
One Eyed Patriot, back at you, buddy.
There is an attempt.
Columbia, South Carolina Statehouse, February 8th.
What's next? I had the privilege last year of being invited to speak before the Israeli Knesset. And when I went there, I was toured around, and one of the places I was taken was a public school in Israel. I went on those school grounds, and there were kids playing. They were swinging in the swings and playing on the little merry-go-round and on the monkey bars and having a grand old time. And I look back in the background, standing by the school building, and what do I see?
Teacher with a gun.
I see school teachers standing there, not with just an AK that I would take into the woods, standing there with a true assault rifle.
That's right. Yeah.
And I asked, who is that security guard? That's not a security guard. That's this class's teacher. Yeah. And then I was told that for over, I think they said a dozen years, about a dozen years ago, they had a terrible problem in Israel with terrorists coming into schools and holding children hostage, killing. It was terrible, they said. How did we resolve it? We resolved it by training every single teacher in Israel how to handle a rifle.
Yeah!
And do you know how many times that there has been an attack on a school in Israel since then?
None.
Not one time.
It's kind of hard to see, but I'll just describe a little bit.
Y'all need to
first.
check this guy's site out.
We're Patriots Defending the Constitution on Facebook. Come there, check us out and like us. We're exposing Obama for what he is. We want everybody to know.
And what was the group again?
Patriots Defending the Constitution.
On Facebook.
On Facebook.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
And I'm going to tell you what the most dangerous thing right now in Washington is for your gun rights. And it's not the Feinstein bill, as dangerous as that is. The Feinstein bill is so over the top that it will likely never pass. It's the big scary, right? It's the big scary that they're throwing up there so that your politicians will be willing to compromise for something less. That is the most dangerous thing. And it's your responsibility to call every one of our members of the congressional delegation, the ones that you think are really, really good, and they are, some of them, but you've got to put the steel in their spine so that they will not compromise. And our two senators, you need to be calling them not once, not twice, but all the time, at least once a week, and reminding them that if they compromise, they need to be looking for another job.
Yeah!
There's two so-called reasonable gun control measures that are really, really popular right now, and they're both very dangerous. And I know a lot of you are thinking that they're going to be very reasonable and it's something we can accept, and I'm going to tell you why you are wrong. One is mental health checks. And I'm going to tell you why that's terrible. There's lots of reasons, primarily because it is completely subjective.
That's right.
All it takes is a liberal anti-gun psychiatrist to sign your rights away forever to own a gun because they don't like something about you or they just don't like guns. There's no trial, there's no jury, there's no hearing, there is no defense.
Sounds like the Patriot Act.
It is predetermining that you're going to commit a crime in the future. That scares me to death.
Yeah.
Number two, it's closing the so-called gun show loophole. Universal background checks. And I'm going to tell you why that's dangerous. That sounds kind of reasonable, right? We don't want convicted felons having guns, maybe. But here's why that's so dangerous. The only way the federal government is able to enforce dealers doing background checks is because they track the guns from the manufacturer to the dealer. And you know, when you go to a dealer to buy a gun, they have a little book that they flip through and they find the gun serial number and they write your name in so that they know, or they write that it's been sold and that a background check has been done. The only way the federal government can enforce universal background checks is if they have universal gun registration.
Which leads
that is
to
the only way it can be done. Don't let them fool you.
The law. But we also demand from our lawmakers that they do uphold their oath to the Constitution and protect our freedoms. That is their number one job. It's not to manage the economy. It's not to create jobs. It's not to build a road. It is to protect our freedom. Thank you all very much.
Just a brief comment. There was a Supreme Court ruling once that said any law that is unconstitutional on its face is null and void. I know, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, Mr. Attorney General, our guns. Please send the person to my door who has no wife and kids.
That's right. Tell them.
It will hurt me greatly to do what I have to do.
That's right. That's right.
Now, you guys know that a lot of the mainstream media is not necessarily on our side.
They're paid to be on the other side.
That's putting it like.
When are they?
Well, our next speaker has a radio show right here in Columbia, WIC. If you haven't heard it, you should tune into it. 7 o'clock on Sunday nights. Dr. Gene Garris is the host of America's Radio Show. I've listened to this show. I've been on this show a couple of times. America's Radio Show and Dr. Garris are what I would call 100% freedom and liberty. Please welcome Dr. Gene Garris.
Well, I'm a radio guy and a liberty activist. And I got a question for you. Where do your rights come from? They come from God. And who stands between you and God?
Nobody!
So what in the world are we allowing to happen in our country? Great people. Okay, here's a question for you. If your forefathers, and maybe not, maybe you came from another country, if the people that created this great experiment gave up their life, their liberty, their treasure, and their sacred honor to make this happen, might that be worth fighting for? Yes. What in the world are we doing? What kind of bizarro world did we wake up in? We have an American president that has a kill list. President Nixon had an enemies list and we impeached him. What in the world are we doing in our country? Now, well, that's a start.
Send them back
We
to
got
Kenya.
all sorts of little Obamas. We know where their office building is. We know where they hang out.
I'm on the